All right, guys, new release from Citizen. This is, I think, possibly replaced the Eco-Zilla. Maybe you're familiar with that one if you're an old school quartz dive watch fan, but this is the BN1024-01Z. Retail price $695. Big thanks to Saltzmans in Rhode Island. David is the sales contact there at the Cranston location that sent over this batch of watches. I'll put his contact information down below. But Saltzman's watches constantly supporting the beyond me. Like if you go back a while watching these videos, you'll remember that Saltzman's used to send watches to even the Urban Gentry and many other YouTubers. So I really like the fact that they work with the community. Yeah, I know it's advertising for them, but from our perspective, we get to see these really cool watches, and it will help you decide to purchase the watch. I do prefer to steer you guys toward Saltzmans because they're the AD for a lot of these brands that I show. So it just kind of works out in our best interest, I think. So let's look at this watch, and I'll give you some dimensions, and we'll do some close-ups, and I'm going to do some comparisons with other larger divers. Automatics, though, I don't have a whole lot of quartz options to share it with, so it is what it is. Let's get into the case size on this first. Is 46 millimeters, so you're going to see the look in the case dimensions very familiar, you know, if you're familiar with the Eco-Zilla. The lug-to-lug, extremely difficult to figure out where that might be. I thought maybe these were spring bar holes. I did a little pokey thing in there to see if they would release. I can't get them to release, so I'm not sure how those release. Somebody else will have to figure that out because this isn't my watch, so I didn't want to get rough with it. So there may be adapters, I guess is my point, that you would be able to change out the strap in the future. This strap is very similar to the one on the Eco-Zilla in the way it interfaces with the case and wears on the wrist. I do not know how to pronounce the material. It's a special proprietary designed plant-based. It feels like it has like an exterior feel similar to silicone, but it has more rigid feel to it, so more robustness, kind of like a plastic or harder rubber would be. So I think it's going to be a good quality strap. But that's the scenario on that thing. The thickness on this is 15.9, so nearly 16 millimeter. You do have sapphire crystal up top. And then, again, lug width without adapters. This is a proprietary interface here. But roughly the width here is about 27.5 millimeter. The strap does taper down instantly to 19 millimeter. You have two keepers here. One's kind of captured, and then one floater. And then you have a nice wide buckle on there. Very like angular Panerai-esque, if you will. So very nice clasp system for sure. And then of course you have a 7 millimeter ProMaster signed screw down crown, keeping the 300 meter water resist. You also have that little guy there. I believe that to be a helium escape valve. So yeah, nice little feature on there. And then on this side, it does say 300 meter professional diver. 120 click bezel on this. You can see the bezel insert is very interesting because it's not just flat and inset into the bezel. I know people always like it when I bring out the pointer finger, but I want to point out that this bezel insert is angled up and then chamfers back down to the sapphire crystal. So pretty cool little feature. Very classic traction on the bezel, very Citizen-like. Nice bezel action. It is pretty solid. I don't really feel any play, and it does line up. Kind of. Mostly. Better than Seiko, anyway. Sorry, Seiko. Is what it is. And I think I heard somebody mention they were curious to know the dial dimension. So without taking it apart to measure it, I kind of eyeballed the dial size, and it's roughly 25.5 millimeter. So not a very large dial, but you can see you have a beautiful red gradient dial on that. They look to be very legible markers, and then you have that really nice candy red chapter ring. You can see the seconds hand ticking away. This is an eco drive, so it is solar charged. It will take its energy source from, of course, the sun or artificial light. So pretty much most of these Citizen Eco Drive watches are good to go. I have not had too many failures. If you are a fan and you have owned a bunch of these and maybe you've had one fail and had to send it to the service center, which they clearly state on the case back to send it in for service, do not open it up. Let me know, because I have not personally handled a failure on one of these. Let's see, click. Oh, the movement. It is a caliber E365. If that matters to you, it's three-handed with a date in line with the 4 o'clock crown. It is framed, and it does have a little bit of lume on the outside edge of that. Still pretty legible. It's not crazy deep like I've seen some Seiko. Again, I don't want to dig on Seiko too much, but some of these Seiko solar watches, the date is so far down below the surface of the dial that it makes it more difficult to read it. And this one doesn't seem to suffer from that same fate. I would like it to be a little bit larger date or no date, but I get it. Date watches far outsell no date watches. Now, let's do a comparison. Before I do that, I'm going to pop the watch off my wrist that I was wearing today, and I will share it with you because a lot of people ask me, hey, what were you wearing? Maybe you caught a glimpse of it. This is a Bulova quartz chrono. I believe they called it the surfboard because of the shape of the center, and I was wearing it on a strap habit. White camo strap. Doesn't match perfectly, but I dug it. I liked it, so I wore it. Let's do some size comparisons. I'll pop it on wrist so you can see that, and then I'll close out with a Lume shot. So here it is next to the Doxa Sub 300. Similar size and weight. And Doxas are fairly heavy, and it's on metal. Definitely thicker, but very similar in size and weight. A Tudor, have it upside down, LHD Pelle. Again, very similar size. Nice legible. I don't have any other quartz divers to like kind of show it to, sorry. And then I can do another one that looks thick, but it isn't super thick. How about a Marathon in a 41 millimeter in an automatic? You can see it looks small compared to the Citizen. And then, of course, we have a Seiko Turtle. Those are pretty much similar in size, but again, Citizen much thicker. But the way they do this case and this strap, I'll show you it on wrist. It doesn't bother you, I guess I should say, that it is nearly 16 millimeter thick. The strap is very nice, very robust, very easy to use. And there it is on wrist. That's my 7 1/4 inch wrist. And you can see it just wears very comfortable. The way the strap is designed and the way it flares out and then captures around your wrist, it ends up not feeling top heavy. It feels nice and balanced. It doesn't flop around or anything. I could probably go 1 notch tighter, but you have really nice spacing too. That's very important on a strap. You have nice spacing, they're fairly close, and you have a ton of them. So whatever your wrist size, probably down to 6 inch to over 8 inch, you're gonna be able to wear this thing. Now, let's close out with a Lume shot, shall we? And again, big thanks to David over at Saltzmans in the Cranston location. I think I have another watch coming soon from Richard at the other location, so I'll be sharing that soon as well. Citizen Lume on their divers, pretty spectacular. I mean, short of the bezel not being lumed other than the pip, but that's the way divers typically are. You know, sometimes we get spoiled, you know, with like a Tudor or something like that. But, you know, this is also over $5,000. So for, you know, with discount code, link down below and everything like that, you're probably into this thing for around 600-ish, something like that. I don't know. Give it a shot. Let me know how it turns out. I'll see you guys on the next vid.